Hello, and welcome to the Kathleen Spracklin podcast. I am a woman on a mission to gather a cadre of writers, thinkers, and teachers who are transforming the world one character at a time. And it all starts with one thing: a deep understanding of human motivation, why people do what they do, and the forces that drive them. But lately, and for some time now, I've been focusing on Zettelkasten to answer your questions. And tonight's question comes from Drew. Now, Drew once sent me a lovely chart which he detailed quite well and described in considerable detail two situations that Scott Shepard describes and shows how to handle those with his numbering system. And Drew wants to know, how does the effortless numbering system handle these two issues? And I will answer that question tonight. I will say right off the top that he watched my effortless numbering video, and he said, I think that what effortless numbering would do would be over here. And he's nailed it. It's perfect. But the reason why I wanted to go through this with you as a video and not just say, you nailed it, Drew, you've got it, because there's something behind it all that is missing when you just look at card numbers that you'll see on these sheets. So let's go to the down-facing camera and take a look at the proposed cards that Drew is asking about. Okay, here is the situation that Drew sketched out very patiently and beautifully for us. And this comes out of the Scott Shepard method for card numbering. And so these look a little bit more like Scott Shepard numbers. I can see that Drew uses dashes where Scott tends to use slashes. But let's take a look at the card numbers and let's just see if we can get the lay of the land, what's going on with these cards. And remember, we're not looking at content here, we're only looking at numbers. So first of all, we're starting out at 4214-17. That's a lot of different variants there. And if we come down here, we're going to go to 18. So we don't know how far this sequence goes, but we're pouring into this whole subtree, this whole descendant group of cards that comes down off of this card right here. All right, so this situation, as we see here, is setting up an issue that Scott brings up. So for the moment, we're going to cover that one up, and we're going to take a look at what this area looks like. And if we just look at this area without this problem card, we see that we've got 17, then 17-1, -1-1, and -1-2. And then it goes down back in the order with these cards. Now, you know from my system that if I had this kind of a thing going on, I would already put a directory card in here to cover the fact that both of these wanted to be right next to this card. And I would put a directory card right here to indicate that this card, and this card all wanted to be right next to this card. So what is this wrinkle that Scott brings up that Drew wants to see addressed? So let's reveal this one, and we'll put this over on these other two that we haven't looked at yet. Okay, over here, Scott proposed that I have a new card, and Scott wants the new card to come right up here in front of these two. And he supplies a mechanism for doing that. Instead of using -1, he's going to use /0, because 0 comes in front of 1, and so it can sneak right in at the front of the line. Effortless numbering says, well, wait a minute. This card wanted to be right next to 17, So did this card, and so did this card. You also want to be right next to 17. What gives you the right to push in front of everybody else? You go right down here, take your turn, become 4, and we'll keep that directory card that we're going to have up here. We'll show 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll all be just as close to 17 as you could ever possibly want to be. So this is how the situation now looks with the effortless numbering system. This problem card never got to bud in front. Right off of 17, you had 17, 1, 2, 3, and 4, all in a very tidy order with no ruffles and no wrinkles. And to sort things all out, each of these cards gets to be right next to the parent card. Only in my world, instead of being 1, 2, 3, 0, mine would be A, B, C, D, because I go number, letter, number, letter. So as you can see, the original A would be 1, 2, 3, and this sneaky guy /0 would be D right down here. And so this way, with this kind of a directory card, all of these can be right next to 17 because all of their taglines that bring back the whole card into memory are all present in one place. So now let's take a look at the other problem child. We're going to leave this one all cleaned up the way we left it. And now let's look at the other issue that Drew wanted to know about. Scott talks about the concept of a variant. And it's it's a little bit difficult to understand exactly what Scott means by a variant, but I am going to presume that what he meant by this was that this card is something he had wanted to sneak in right here. That's why I gave it a 1A, so it would fall between these two cards. And if it's going to sneak by its number, I'm seeing that it would fall here in Scott's system, and therefore this card 17-1 would be the parent of this card. So same situation. This card wants this card for its parent. This card wants this card for a parent, and so does this card want this card for a parent. Well, where does this card get off butting in front of the two that also wanted this card for a parent? Can you see that we've actually got the same situation going? This card and its child would simply move right down here and fall right into line where they belong. And we would show that using a directory card as well. So take a look now at what 4214-17-1's directory card would look like. Well, in my system, it would have been 17A, and now we'd be back to numbers 1, 2, 3. And the new guy wouldn't butt in at 1A and try to get in front. It would just be right here. Well, thank you so much, Drew, for your excellent question. Thank you for your diagrams that made your question very, very clear. If you would like to get in on the discussion and talk about things Zettelkasten before my course is ready, you can sign up to be on my mailing list, which among other things will give you my email address, and you can talk to me with your questions there, or you can leave your questions in comments to the video. And if you want to sign up for the progress report on the course, it's at my website, KathleenSpracklin.com/ZK for Zettelkasten, ZK-dreams. So, but there's another topic that I want to mention having to do with all of this interesting stuff regarding these diagrams. And that is the whole issue of numbers. You'll notice the whole problem here was able to be described just using numbers on cards. And that means The only thing you had to be thinking about to see what was happening here was to think about card numbers. Well, that's not what you started your Zettelkasten for, so you could think about numbers. You started your Zettelkasten because you wanted to think about ideas, about concepts. You wanted to get dialogues going on your cards, and you wanted to get a whole conversation going in your box. You want to get a whole conversation going on your directory cards. That's the whole point of the effortless numbering system, is that card numbers are so easy. It's like, oh, we left off at 2. Well, then we want 3. You don't even think about it. Oh, we were on A, B, C. Okay, we need D. And you're done. You don't burden your brain with, oh, well, it's got to go in front. That means it's going to have to be a 0 because the number there is a 1. And this one wants to go in front, but I've got something going on there. So, oh, okay, I'll make it an A. Look at where the brain is. It's all in numbers. It's all, well, is it a variant or is it a descendant? Huh. No. What we're trying to do is develop ideas and a whole Socratic investigation of concepts and ideas, bringing together multiple sources when these cards come about from multiple books as you're reading syntopically into your Zettelkasten, and all these ideas are coming together in one place almost magically on these cards. And it's like, whoo, your brain lights up and all of these different perspectives come into play. I have a quote somewhere in my Zettelkasten. I could pull it out. It's from Jeff Bezos. And he said that perspective is worth 80 IQ points. Well, what do you get with a Zettelkasten? Perspective. This gives you perspective. This does not give you perspective. You don't gain anything by geographically sticking the cards up here that you couldn't do much, much better by listing them on a directory card. And that's the subtle point that I wanted to come back and emphasize before I just say, yep, you've got the numbering right. Well, with effortless numbering, there's no question about whether you got the numbering right. You had 1, 2, 3. Do you know what comes after 3? Oh, yeah, 4. There's no effort. And that means there's no thought and no attention being given to the numbers, because you want all of your brain power thinking about these ideas. Thank you.